Hello, my name is Professor Holtman, and I would like to share with you today some of the features of the graphing calculator. Some of the features of the graphing calculator include how to represent values as fractions and decimals, how to graph, how to find various information about that graph, and how to enter data and get some information about that data that we entered. So let's jump right in. The first thing that I want to show you how to do is to convert a number from a decimal to a fraction and vice versa. So if I have a decimal, say 0.75, I'm going to hit enter to have that loaded into the calculator. And I'm going to now hit the math key, which is right above the green alpha key, or right below the green alpha key. And I'm going to change this from a decimal to a fraction. So the to fraction key is already highlighted here. So I'm going to take that value and we're going to make it into a fraction. So I don't have to do anything. It's already highlighted on 1. And so I'm just going to hit the enter key and it says take you the answer. The calculator will always store your previous answer, the one that's just prior to the key that you've already just pressed. It will always store your previous answer, and we're going to make that into a fraction. And the calculator says, oh, that fraction is 3/4. Oh, okay. Now, what if I wanted to change that fraction back from 3/4 to a decimal? Well, I would merely hit the math key one more time, and I would arrow down to 2. And we would highlight the 2 decimal key, the 2 decimal key. And then I would hit the enter key, and it's going to take that answer to a decimal. And I'm going to hit answer to decimal, and that comes out with 0.75 again. So this is how we convert fractions to decimals on the graphing calculator. Okay, the next thing that I'd like to cover is how to graph a graph on the calculator. I'm going to go to the very top left-hand corner of the calculator faceplate, and there's a y equals button, and I'm just going to press that y equals button. The y equals button will bring up a listing of potential graphs that I can plot. The y1 equals, okay, is what I'm going to be working with, and I want to graph a quadratic, which is a parabola, a kind of UV-shaped graph. So we're going to plug into our first line here the equation, and I'm going to write in the equation negative x squared plus 6x minus 5. So I want negative. Now there's a big difference between a minus sign on the calculator and a negative sign. So let's make sure that we don't get that confused. A negative sign is down here, right here at the bottom of the screen, the bottom right hand of the screen of the faceplate is the negative button, whereas the minus sign is on the right column, okay, above the plus sign. The calculator does differentiate between the negative sign and the minus sign. So please keep that in mind. So if I wanted a negative x squared, I would use the negative sign. I'm just going to hit delete on the minus sign that I included here. So I hit delete key and that gets rid of the minus sign, but it keeps the negative sign. So I'm going to then say that this is going to be x. Now, how do I get the x? That is next to the green key. Okay, and that's my variable key. It's just to the right of my alpha key. Okay, my green alpha key here. Just to the right is the x, or the variable key. And then I'm going to square that. That squared is in the column below alpha and math, and there's a squared key here. And I'm going to square that. Now, I'm going to add 6x. So I'm going to hit add plus, and then 6x, 6x. And then I'm going to do minus 5, minus 5. Minus sign, 5, not a negative sign, a minus sign, minus 5. And then I'm just going to hit enter. And that has stored that in the slot Y1, Y sub 1. Now, how am I going to graph this? Well, I'm just going to hit the graph key at this point. And the graph key is the top right-hand corner of the screen, of the faceplate. And so I'm just going to hit the graph key, and it draws the graph of the parabola that I've been looking for. Okay, so it's a nice upside down UV shape. Okay, and some of the things that we want to find out about this graph are what's the highest value of the graph? What's the maximum value of this graph? And the calculator will do that for us. So the way that I do that is I want to hit the second trace button to get that maximum value. Now the trace key is right next to the graph key. The trace key will actually allow me to find values on this graph. So I can use this trace key and the arrow keys to arrow over, and it will show me various points on this graph. I can even find out what certain values are for the range, for the y values, by just typing in values of x. So say that I wanted to find out what the value of y was when x was equal to 4. So all I do is hit the 4 key, and it brings up x equals 4. Then I hit enter, and it tells me, when x is equal to 4, y was equal to 3. So I know that that is a point on my parabola. X equals 4, y equals 3. Oh, nice. But what about the maximum value? How do we find the maximum value here? Well, we're going to use, instead of trace, we're going to use second trace. So the second key will give me all of the functions in blue on the calculator. So the blue key gives me all the functions that are above the buttons, okay, on the calculator. So I hit the second key, and now it's going to, in the trace key, it's going to do calc. And it says calculate certain values of the graph. So I'm going to go second trace, and it says calculate the maximum value of the graph. That's what I want to find. I want to find where's the maximum value for this graph. So I'm going to now arrow down to maximum value. So I'm going to want to find the maximum value of this graph. Okay. So I arrow down to 4 and I hit enter. And it says, what's the left bound? I want to be on the left side of the maximum value. So I actually need to arrow over using the arrow keys. I'm going to arrow to the left, and I'm going to arrow over so that I am left of the maximum. So I am left of the maximum here. It doesn't matter how left of the maximum I am. I'll stop right there. and then I want to hit enter. And then it asks me, what's the right bound? I want a boundary so that the calculator knows how far to go past the maximum value and what interval am I looking for this maximum value. So I'm going to arrow to the right and get a boundary for where the calculator needs to look. So I'm going to hit enter, and that gives me a region of where I want the calculator to look for this maximum value. So I'm going to hit the enter key. It says, what about a guess? Where do we guess where's a good guess for where the maximum value of this parabola is? Oh, well, I'm just going to arrow over to where I feel is the best possible guess for the maximum. I'm going to say that it's around right here. And then I'm going to hit enter. And it says, look, the maximum was at 3. Now the calculator, it has a little bit of error here in the 3, but I can show you that it is actually at 3 in a second. The maximum when x was equal to 3 was y was equal to 4. So the maximum value here is y equals 4 on the graph. And I can verify that by merely hitting the trace key and then hitting 3. And if I say, well, at x equals 3, where was this value for on the graph? It'll say, it's x equals 3 and y equals 4. Now the calculator is estimating where that value is, but it did give us the correct value for the range. And the correct value for the y value was 4. Okay. Now, what if I wanted to find the point where the points here where the graph crosses the x-axis? Those are called our x-intercepts. Okay, so we're going to go to second trace, and we're going to calculate our 0 this time. Okay, second trace and calculate our 0 this time. So second trace, and then I'm going to arrow down to 2 here where it says 0. And I'm going to hit enter, and I want to find the intercept or the 0. And I'm going to do the exact same thing I did last time, okay, which was go to the left of where I think that x-intercept is. Well, I'm going to scroll over to where I think I'm on the left of it. I'm going to hit enter. Then I'm going to scroll to the right where I think I'm going to be the right of it and hit enter. And then I'm going to do a guess where I think this crosses the x-intercept, and I'm going to click enter. And it says, look, my 0 was at 1, 0. So one of the zeros was 1. So this crosses the x-axis at 1, 0. Let's try to find the second x-intercept. So the second x-intercept was, okay, we're going to hit second trace again to get our second 0. And so I'm going to arrow over to just left of the second 0. So I'm going to hit enter there and get my interval that I want to use. And then I'm going to go to the right of the intercept and hit enter. And then I'm going to do an educated guess based on line of sight of where I think this is. And I'm going to hit enter, and look at that. My next 0 was at 5. So this helps me get the x-intercepts there. So the first x-intercept was at 1, 0, and the second x-intercept was at 5, 0. Okay, let's switch gears now and let's do a little bit of statistics. So I'm going to hit second mode, second quit, to quit out of this screen. Okay, so second mode will quit you out of any application on the calculator. So second, which is the blue button, and then mode. Okay, I don't know why that didn't work, but should have. I'm just going to hit clear. Okay, and clear again. That will clear my screen. So I'm going to hit 2 clears there. Okay, and so we're going to now do a little bit of statistics. Okay, so a little bit of statistics here. So I'm going to go to stats. The stat key is 2 over, it's right next to the variable key, and I'm going to click on stats. And what I want to do is I want to enter some statistics. I would like to enter some statistics here. And so I want to go to edit statistics. Okay, let's edit some statistics. So it's already highlighted as edit. So I want to edit a list of statistics here. And so I'm just going to hit enter. It's already on 1, enter. And it comes up with these lists, L1, L2, L3, L4. And I'm going to enter some values into these lists. And I'm going to say that the first list was 5. First value in my list is 5, and then 7, and then 9, and then 3, and then 3. Now, sometimes we're going to get a lot of data, and sometimes we want to sort this data. We want to sort it in increasing order or decreasing order. So what I want to do is I want to have the calculator sort all of this data for me. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go second quit and quit out of that. Second quit, okay, second mode that will quit out of that application. And then I'm going to go back to the stats key, and you see where it says sort A here? Sort A in number 2. It's sort ascending. Sort ascending. Ascending means going up, like you're ascending a flight of stairs. So we're going up, sort ascending. So I want to enter this, hit enter on that, and it says sort ascending what? Well, I want to sort ascending list 1, because that was the list that I was working with. So I want to sort ascending list 1. So second, L1, and then hit enter. So it says done. I've sorted that from lowest to highest. Okay. So now what we'd like to do is we would like to see that that list was sorted. Okay. So let's go into stats again, and let's go into edit to look at our list. And I'm going to go edit and then enter. And look at that. It is in an ascending order. It's 3, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now, sometimes we would like to do some calculations with this. We may want to find the mean, the median, the mode, the range on certain values here in statistics. So the calculator will actually help us calculate that for us. So how do we do that? Well, we go back to the stats key. We hit stats, and we're going to hit calc. Okay, calc. We want to calculate some statistics. So we're going to arrow over to calc, and I'm going to do 1 variable statistic since I only have 1 column of statistics. Okay, so 1 variable statistics here. So it's already highlighted under 1, so I don't have to move the cursor at all. So I'm going to hit enter, and then it's going to say, what list do you want to use? And I'm going to say, yes, list 1. I would like to use list 1. Okay. And so list 1 is L1, and I'm going to then arrow down to hit calculate. Okay. So we're going to arrow down to hit calculate. And it tells me, look, it tells me that the mean was 5.4. That's X bar there. That X bar tells me that when I add all those numbers up and divide by the number of items that are there, the number of items is N here. So n was equal to 5, that's the number of items. And when I take and I add up all those numbers, which the sum was 27, that's the second line here. The sigma means sum, that sigma, that m kind of on its side is a Greek letter sigma, and that means sum. So sigma is equal to 27. When I take 27 and divide by 5, I get 5.4. And so 5.4 is my mean. The standard deviation of this is S sub x here, and that is 2.6. Standard deviation is 2.6. If I arrow down, it tells me that my middle number was 5, the median was 5. Okay, the minimum number was 3, and the maximum number was 9. The interquartile value of Q1 was 3, and the third quartile, okay, quartile 1 was 3, and the third quartile was 8. Okay. So I hope that I've given you a brief overview of how to use the graphing calculator for a few of the common applications of the graphing calculator. We covered how to transfer a value from a fraction to a decimal in elementary algebra. We covered how to graph values, finding the maximum and intercepts from college algebra and pre-calculus. And we covered how to find some one variable statistics and sort our data in statistics. It's been a pleasure to be with you today, and I hope this tutorial really helps you out. Thank you.